Welcome everyone to our July version of the Accelerator Career Group. We're so excited to see so many people here today. If this is your first time joining us in an Accelerator call, please put the number 1 in the chat so I can welcome you properly. Ganesh, your first time. Tamara, welcome. Jessica and Kishore, welcome. Scott and Paula, Martin and Johanna. Jerry, welcome. A regular, Brian, welcome, and Glenn and Marcio, welcome. Yeah, a lot of these are new names. We hope that you join us every single month. We are actually, this accelerator group, we started in 2020 at the height of the pandemic, and we started with 7 members. And today, I just checked, we're at 793 members. And so I thought, how cool would it be if I need another 7 people to get to 800. If we get to 800 over the next, I would say 3 days, I'm going to give the 800th member a special gift. So go in, Lori's going to put into the chat the link to connect to the Accelerate Career Group. And in that group, there's no charge, and you get to see firsthand all of our new events. The next event is going to be in September. I am taking a small break in August. I never do it, but I am. So hooray, I'm taking a little break in August. We'll be back in September with gangbusters because Kenneth Lang is going to be talking about getting hired without getting scammed. The scams are all over the place, and we need to be completely vigilant, and we need to know what's going on. So Kenneth is digging deep into all these scams. He just presented on Linda Brubaker's group also about this, and he's getting really involved in that. So if you're interested, the link to the Get Hired Not Scammed is in the chat right now, and you can sign up. This morning we had about 35 registrations, and I just posted it yesterday. So it's going to be a very active group, and although it's not until September, it's going to come sooner than you thought. So definitely join us then. What else? Anyone who's been here before knows that I love to collect the golden nuggets that our speakers give us. When I select speakers, I'm very mindful of what job seekers are looking for. And so it's very important to me that we capture all that great information. And not everyone can make it to the live event. And so what I will do is I will take your nuggets that you post into the chat, and I will create a post for tomorrow morning. In that post, I will also put the replay link for anyone who wants to either view it again, or you want to forward it to a friend if you think there was value to it. All that information will be in the post tomorrow. I posted at 8 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So any questions? No? Okay, we're good to go. All right, so we're going to be putting nuggets into the chat. We're going to be welcoming Jeffrey. You know, one of the biggest things I hear from my clients, and I do career coaching every single day, and so I talk to people who are job seeking every single day. And one of the biggest challenges and frustrations is they want to use LinkedIn. They know that there's power behind LinkedIn, but they're not exactly sure what to do. And so there's a lot of guessing going on. Plus, there's a lot of changes to LinkedIn. We all know that. LinkedIn does not make announcements. Hey guys, today we're making a change. That doesn't happen. So we have to uncover a lot of this stuff ourselves. And so Jeffrey's been doing a fabulous job over the years. He keeps gathering information from really smart experts, and he disseminates that information very freely. And so I asked Jeffrey to join us today to share what he knows. And we're definitely going to be opening this panel up for conversation and for questions. If you have a question, you got 2 choices. You can either raise your hand just like this, so you pop to the top of my screen and I can see you. That's the easiest thing. If you're shy and you don't want to do that, then put the word question in the chat, and I will try and grab as many of them as I possibly can. Okay, I'm going to lower my hand. And without further ado, Jeffrey, I'm going to send the call over to you, and please share your screen and say hello to the group. We're excited to get started.
Okay, thank you, Mindy. Can you see my screen?
I do see your screen.
Okay, so first of all, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. If you're live, thank you for attending. If you're watching the replay, thank you for watching the replay. For the next 45 minutes or so, I'm going to share my methodology on how to leverage LinkedIn to find a job. I am Jeffry Ullman. I'll talk a little more about my background. First off, I want you to pull out your phone and hover your camera over my QR code, and let's connect on LinkedIn if we're not connected while I have this slide up. If you're not already following and or connected with Mindy, please go ahead and do that. That's important. But I get asked a lot two things. A couple of people say, Jeffrey, that title is kind of harsh. Can you handle the truth? I'm pretty straightforward, transparent. I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm just trying to be realistic. The second thing is if you are currently looking for a job, I've been in your shoes. I'll talk a little about my experience. I've been in the IT corporate space for 30 plus years, 30. I'm okay with saying I've been laid off more than once, and I've leveraged LinkedIn to find a job. And I use LinkedIn so much, and as Mindy said, it can be confusing. It changes. And as a way to give back, I've tried to document my methodology and keep it current, which is an ongoing effort. And I'll talk a little about that. And the other thing, I found that there are a lot of great thought leaders in LinkedIn land, so to speak, Mindy being one of them. But I didn't really find any thought leader that was really only focused on the mechanics of how to find a job. So I'm really focused on the mechanics and the methodology here. So hopefully that's enough of an intro. I am not going to go through my whole life story. You're welcome to read that. If you don't have a one pager or know what that is, reach out to me. But basically, I've been in the IT corporate space for 30 plus years. Worked at IBM, worked at Oracle, worked at Red Hat, worked at Avnet, worked in two nonprofits, South Florida Tech Hub, and I'm currently working at the Small Business Development Center here in Boca, which is part of the Small Business Administration. Basically, I've had technical roles and sales roles. And if you're interested, you're welcome to look more about my background. This is the 60-minute version. You really want the 90-minute version. I did put the link to that in the chat. If you go way up back to the beginning, if you can't find the link, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. Just message me and I'll provide the link. I do want you to have both the 60-minute version and the 90-minute version. As Mindy mentioned and I mentioned, it is a challenge keeping up with LinkedIn. I'm trying to do a lot of the work for you. So specific to my methodology, about every 2 or 3 months, well, within the 2 to 3 month period, I collect a lot of updates and then I release a new version. You'll notice on the slide, the main slide, the date is January, March, May 15th. So I'm about due for another update in a month or two. And I have a newsletter where I track the updates for you. So you're certainly welcome to read the whole thing again, but I can tell you what's been updated. So you might want to subscribe to my newsletter, and that's the link to the newsletter. Okay, quick agenda. Couple of things we are going to talk about, and several we're not going to talk about. So I'm a collector of quotes. We're not going to talk. I'm not going to discuss those. I am going to have some general disclaimers, background about LinkedIn, partially cover that. I am going to spend a lot of time on what do I mean by can you handle the truth? If you don't get the movie reference, I'll explain that as well. The actual quote from the movie is you can't handle the truth. So I've kind of changed it a little. I will talk a little about ATS versus leveraging hiring managers, recruiters. I'm going to talk a lot about the different kind of job postings, company job posting, LinkedIn job posting, and how to search for those jobs. I will spend time, in my opinion, of the discussion, and this is always a hot topic, free versus premium. The The spoiler alert is you want premium, in my opinion. We'll talk about that. I'm going to spend time on in-mails and the open profile. I'm going to spend time on open to work. That's also a hot topic. I'll give you my perspective, and I'll talk a little about the search criteria for that LinkedIn uses. Um, I'm not going to talk about LinkedIn best practices. I do mention some of the other thought leaders like Mindy. Not going to talk about anything specific to South Florida. And in terms of questions, I'm not that interesting. So please do not hold your questions till the end. Go ahead and ask them as you have them. As Mindy said, if you're not shy, just turn your mic on and ask me a question. If you are shy, Mindy will try to monitor the chat. But my preference is for you to ask questions as I go along. The other thing, again, the presentation you really want is the 90-minute presentation. So I don't know about you, but I'm sick and tired of AI. So I'm announcing now there is no AI machine language that was used in this presentation. It's all done by me. I am not an avatar. I'm a live human being. So there was absolutely no AI used in this presentation. Another general disclaimer, Danger Will Robinson. If you don't get that reference, I'll explain it to you offline as well. This presentation in the 90-minute one probably violates every rule of presentations. It is long. There are a lot of words on each slide, and there's not enough white space. I really intended the 60-minute and more in the 90-minute version to be more as a reference repository of information. They aren't necessarily great presentations. Okay, couple of things. So you might be saying, Jeffrey, what the heck do you know about this? Well, when I was laid off from IBM in 2011, I went back and calculated in the past 10 years, as I mentioned, I've been laid off more than once. I've had about 150 screening calls, uh, web interviews, panel interviews, both with talent acquisition recruiters and hiring managers. And I've tried to aggregate all of that and put that in this presentation. As I mentioned, a lot of thought leaders are great in other areas like branding and job coaching, but really haven't focused on the mechanics of how to use LinkedIn to find a job. And that's what I focus on here. So all the screenshots you see here are based on the PC version, not the mobile app version, and using the Chrome browser. I forgot to mention, if you're not aware, LinkedIn is a behemoth of an application, over 1 billion users. That's with a B. If you're not aware, LinkedIn was acquired by Microsoft. So anytime I use the term AI, ML, I'm really talking about Microsoft technology. I'm going to assume you have some knowledge of LinkedIn here. Again, I'm only focused on leveraging LinkedIn to find a job. Not really going to talk about branding, profile tips. Mindy's a great person to reach out for that. Also, I've never been a people manager, never been an executive, never been a director. So I'm only focused on individual contributor roles. When I use the term recruiter, I do not mean a third party recruiter. I mean the recruiter that works for the company that's posted the job. Third party recruiters have a whole different business model that they follow. So again, this is primarily from my 30 plus years in IT tech space, but it should be applicable to most industries. And again, my opinion, sample size of 1. Okay, as I mentioned, LinkedIn, behemoth of an application, over 1 billion users. USA still number 1. Go USA in LinkedIn users, but the breakdown by country is kind of interesting. Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but your LinkedIn profile is your personal professional brand statement. I would say 70%, probably more like 90% today's. People are going to go look at your LinkedIn profile if you're looking for a job. A lot of job applications will ask you to list your profile, or they can actually ingest your profile. So you want to keep it current. This is some tidbits that I've collected along the way. The most notable one that I think is the growth of video over time. Okay, can you handle the truth? If you didn't get the movie reference, it comes from a movie with Tom Cruise, Jack Nicholson. Full disclosure, I had and still have a crush on, I've forgotten the woman that's the lead character.
Demi
Anyway,
Moore. Demi
Demi
Moore.
Moore, thank you. Had a crush on her then, still have a crush on her now. But anyway, that's kind of a random thought. Great movie, but in the movie, Jack Nicholson, one of the things he says is, "You can't handle the truth." So I changed that a little. And what am I talking about? Well, this is my perspective. Having looked for a job many times, having used LinkedIn, I'm sharing my perspective with you. I don't think a lot of people realize, in my opinion, looking for a job really is a full-time job, and you should treat it as such. Also, if you assume you're just going to apply to a job and hear back, that process is gone. You're being naive. You're probably never going to hear back. So that traditional way of applying for a job is really no longer applicable. The way I've kind of characterized it and the way I viewed it, maybe it's my sales background as well. I looked at it as if I was engaging in a marketing sales campaign and the product I was selling was me. And that's true even if you're looking for a technical role. At the end of the day, you're selling yourself for a job role. Um, just to kind of diverge from a moment, I do think this is a numbers game, and the numbers really don't work in your favor, but it's okay once you realize that. When I was in college, one of my professors, it was a marketing class. This was pre-internet, so he was talking about direct mail, and he said, if you had a direct mail campaign and you got a 3 to 5% response rate, that would be considered a success. So I raised my hand. I said, wait a minute. You mean if I send out 100 pieces of mail and I only get 3 to 5 back, it's considered a success? He said, yes. And that 3 to 5%, in my opinion, holds up even for email, even for electronic outreach. So I kind of turned it around and said, well, wait a minute. If 3 to 5% response is considered acceptable, that means you're going to get rejected or ignored 95 to 97%. And once I realized that, I didn't feel so bad about all the rejections. So this is kind of what I'm getting at. You got to realize you're going to get rejected a lot. You're going to probably get rejected 95 to 97% of the time. And that's okay. It's normal. And I have a statistic for MailChimp that backs up that 3 to 5% response rate or 95 to 97% rejection rate. So no shocker if you do the math. If I've been working for 30 years, I'm probably older than 29 or 39, according to Jack Benny. So ageism exists. You can feel bad, but there's nothing you can do about it. I decided to embrace it. And I'm proud of my experience and my seniority. Not everyone feels that way, but that's okay too. So I didn't come up with this. Someone told me once, Jeffrey, if you're overqualified, it means you're qualified. And it's not a bad thing. If you turn that around, I talk to a lot of kids right out of college that don't have a lot of work experience. I say, well, then focus on your life experience. There's no point in focusing on your work experience or only your degree. So it's a matter of perspective. Third thing, and this took me a long time to realize that, and I believe it's true, and I think it's higher, that by the time a role is posted externally or publicly, at least 50% of the time, the company already has a candidate in mind for the role. I know this to be true because this actually happened to me at IBM. I was applying for a role. The job wasn't posted. The hiring manager posted a role that only I had the skills for. I applied for the job and I got it. So that's what I mean when the numbers don't always work in your favor, because probably at least 50%, it's probably higher. By the time you see the job posted externally, they already have an internal candidate in mind. Problem is, you don't know which 50%. So you just don't know. The second thing is that, and I think this statistic is probably low, if they don't have an internal candidate in mind, human nature being what it is, the recruiter, the hiring manager, the talent acquisition, they're going to look to see do I have any internal referrals or maybe external referrals. So back to networking that Mindy mentioned, it's very important for you to network, to build up your network so you can potentially get referrals. Okay, changing topics a little. A lot of conversation, a lot of discussion of ATS. My opinion is you need to read the LinkedIn and the job descriptions in detail. You need to tailor, embed those unique keywords in your resume. Um, I've seen a lot of people rewrite their resume for each role. I used to say, don't do that, but now I encourage you to do it if you use an AI tool. Don't do it manually. It's fine to use an AI tool if you want for each role. The downside of that, I think sometimes it's obvious when you've used AI to rewrite your resume. That's just my opinion. So, in parallel, at the end of the day, your goal is to, if you're looking for a job, is to get to the hiring manager first, the recruiter second, the talent acquisition third. So some of the ways to do that, do you already have a connection at the company? Leverage that connection. Do you have a LinkedIn connection that maybe they have a connection? And I'll talk more about this. Again, a lot of people aren't comfortable doing that, but a lot of people are. And I've leveraged that over the years. The other thing you can do within LinkedIn, if you're looking for a role with a specific title, search in LinkedIn for employees of that company with that title, either the employee or the hiring manager. Again, I've reached out many times, and I have examples of that here. I've reached out to people I've never met. They don't know me. I said, could you tell me who the name and email of the hiring manager is? You would be shocked. Yeah, I get rejected about 95 to 97% of the time, but that 3 to 5% response rate works. And I've gotten a lot of times either the name and the email of the hiring manager or the recruiter. If you have that, that is gold. That is a platinum nugget, not a gold nugget, because you can go right to the recruiter, right to the hiring manager. You've just cut through a tremendous amount of work. The other thing I've done sometimes is if I've reached out to the who I think the hiring manager is, and they say I'm not the hiring manager, say, well, do you mind sharing with me who the hiring manager is? Sometimes you'll get pushback. Oh, I can't do that. It's against company policy. That's okay. You'll be shocked how many times it does work. Okay, so what are some strategies maybe to increase your 3 to 5%? LinkedIn allows you to search for employees of that company that are local to you. By the way, I use Cisco on a lot of my examples. So the last time I checked, there are about 100 Cisco employees that live in South Florida. So you can reach out to them, say, hey, we've not met. You don't know me. I see you're with Cisco. I'm looking to apply to this role. You can ask them who the recruiter, the hiring manager is. You can ask them to meet for coffee. These days, it's more virtual, just to maybe talk about the culture of the company. The other thing I've noticed, oftentimes, if you do monitor the company LinkedIn feed or the recruiter or for that work for that company, oftentimes they'll post roles, sometimes even before they post them publicly. Hey, we're looking for this role. We're about to post it. If you're interested, reach out to me. And I've done that. The other thing, if you're not aware, LinkedIn will let you search by college alumni. So if you went to the same college for someone that works at Cisco, I did this. It was 4 people. I went to Georgia State in Atlanta. You could say, hey, go Panthers. Great school. Would you mind talking to me about Cisco, the culture? Can you find the hiring manager, et cetera, et cetera? Okay, moving to a slightly different topic. A lot of different topic, a lot of different kind of jobs out there. The traditional way, I guess, before LinkedIn, and I'm old enough to remember before LinkedIn, you had the company. I'm old enough to remember when you look for jobs in the newspaper. That's a long time ago. There aren't any newspapers anymore, barely. But then we had the internet, and you would just go to the company website. So typically, the roles that get posted on LinkedIn are a subset of what a company posts on their website. They don't typically list all the roles. Part of that is because they have to pay for that. So my logic is back to the 50% of the roles that they already have an internal candidate for. If you see the role is posted on LinkedIn, anecdotally, I figure they're seriously interested in an external candidate because they had to pay for that, as opposed to just posting it on a company website that I guess they don't really pay for. So it's a good thing. It's to me, it means something. We could debate how much if the role is posted on LinkedIn. Um, Having looked at a lot of job postings, a lot of them are poorly written. They have the wrong job title. It's not clear for me. For a lot of the roles I was looking for was U.S. remote virtual. Oftentimes, it's not clear in the job posting. You have to read in detail. Sometimes even go back to the company website. Sometimes the titles aren't clear. There can be more than one title. Every once in a while, you'll hit pay dirt, and in the LinkedIn profile, they'll list either the hiring manager or the recruiter. And if you have that, again, you're way ahead of the game. Okay, user initiated user initiated job alerts. If you don't have these, you need to set these up. It's more of a science, excuse me, it's more of an art, not a science. Those are some examples of what I did. Sometimes the wording can be significant, and I use the example renewable energy versus clean energy. Sometimes you want to use keywords. Don't forget to do a geographic search. If you see the bottom there, I searched on Miami, Fort Lauderdale. The weird thing is, if you do that, you get those two little quotation marks in your search. There's a thing called metropolitan statistical area. I'm not going to describe what that is. You might want to read that. One of the things I've heard, and I think this is true, the LinkedIn algorithm likes if you use the larger geographic area. So I didn't just search on Miami. I didn't just search on Fort Lauderdale. I searched on Miami, Fort Lauderdale. That's the way the LinkedIn algorithm works. Okay. With the advent of AI, LinkedIn now lets you use free form text as opposed to keywords. I would try both. Quite frankly, I didn't like the results I got back, maybe because this is still a relatively newer feature, but I would suggest trying both. Um, this is um, this is a good video on how to do the LinkedIn AI free form, and this is another example of a good video on that. I'm not going to go through that. You can take a look. One of the things that's changed recently is Easy Apply was changed to LinkedIn Apply. So I wanted to document that. And now it usually would show up in the job posting, and it would show up in all your searches. Now you actually have to go and request to look at for the job postings that have LinkedIn Apply. I guess I should explain that. LinkedIn Apply is where you can actually apply to the role on the LinkedIn website. Doesn't take you back to the company website. There's a big debate. Is this even worth the time and effort? I heard someone call this easy apply or now LinkedIn apply. Easy apply, easy go, easy forget. I would do all of them. I would, if it's got a LinkedIn apply, I would apply. I would go back to the website and apply on the web. You really need to cover all your bases, so to speak. Okay, if you haven't heard this, or if you're currently using free and you're debating premium, LinkedIn has a lot of different subscription models. Um, I think it's worth the premium career. I'll talk a little more about that. There's a lot of information comparing free versus premium career. The net of it is, I think it's worth it, and I'll talk a little more about that. So,
Jeffrey,
yes, go
we have
ahead.
a question. You ready to pause for a question?
Yes.
Okay, this is from DT. What are your thoughts about a role you applied for, got rejected from, and then it's reposted on LinkedIn?
Yeah. Um, well, is the question, should you reapply or just my thoughts in general, do you think?
I don't know. I can't read his
Uh,
mind. DT, do
yeah.
you want to share
Uh,
your question?
uh, well, I'll go answer it both ways. It does happen a lot. I'm going to be a little harsh here. I think a lot of companies don't pay attention to this, and they have these automated systems set up so that it can happen. I would go ahead and reapply. Um, a related question is you apply for the job, it gets rejected, then 2 weeks later they've reposted the job, or they've told you they filled the job and then it's reposted. I think a lot of things go on internally in these departments that they're not keeping on top of the whole process. So if you can reapply, some job systems won't let you reapply if it's got the same rec number, but I would reapply. I don't know if that answers the question or not.
Did I see Lance? Did you have your hand up and is now missing? I don't know. Lance, did you want to add something to that?
I've been on both sides of the table here, third party recruiter, corporate recruiter, and to your point there, Jeffrey, it's there are a lot of things going on, and some companies repost even though the job's not open. That's the crazy thing. They kind of have this
Yep.
perennial thing where they put it up and they're just collecting resumes. And then when that
Good
job
point.
does, sometimes that job clears, like the person's finishing a contract 6 months later, and now they have a resume bank ready for that. So it's really difficult for the outside job seeker to figure out the theater, what the logistics are behind closed doors. So, um, yeah, it's unfortunately it's you can't get a linear equation here, right? You have to guess and throw stuff at it.
Yeah. And
Right.
also that's a very good point, Lance. And there's another point, which is companies, when they're anxious to fill a role, need to have backup, because not every, even if they make an offer for someone, there's no way to know if that offer is going to be accepted. And so they want to have a backup of people who are qualified. And so they're actually going to be posting it again. So there's no harm in your reapplying. And I would say go for it. The worst is you'll get a rejection. If you don't apply, it's certainly no. So
Exactly.
reapply and maybe you'll be selected.
Okay, so another thought leader, two thought leaders out there, Brenda Miller and Donna Seduler. This perennial free versus premium is an ongoing debate. They both have great videos out there. I would watch that. A little more about premium. I'm not an accountant, but I would think it would be considered a tax deductible expense. One of the things I didn't realize until after a couple of years, I was paying monthly. And then I realized if you pay annually, yes, you have to pay the lump sum upfront annually, but it reduces the monthly cost to about $20 to about half, at least in the US. So if you're going to continue to use LinkedIn, you think premium is worth it, and you can afford to do the monthly payment, it reduces it to about half. I have seen a lot of job postings outside of my user initiated job alerts leveraging the AI. There are a lot of restrictions on connection requests and free profiles, and I'll talk about that. So those are just some of the advantages at the bottom of the premium. Again, premium has a lot of features. I'm not going to have time to go through all of them. If you look at the deck, you'll see that LinkedIn does a good job. This is what you get with free. This is what you get with premium. End of the day, I think it's worth paying for premium for all the additional things you get as a job seeker. One other thing, we could debate the value of this. There is actually live phone support. You don't have to talk to an AI agent or bot, and that's only for premium members. So LinkedIn has done a lot of research. I'm going to let you go through all that. Obviously, LinkedIn is a for-profit business. They want you to pay for it, but they've got data as to why it's worth paying the premium profile subscription price. Again, a lot of resources for premium users. Going the other way, if you can't afford premium, I understand. This was a good article I saw on how to leverage everything you can in the free profile. So take a look at that. One of the biggest differences in the connection request, which I'll talk a little more about, uh, in the premium profile, it's virtually unlimited. You are limited to 5 requests per month on the free profile, which is not very much. Okay. A couple of times when I presented, a couple of people said, Jeffrey, I don't know what to say in a connection request about a job or an in-mail. So I've listed a lot here. I'll let you go read them, but this is an example of what you see in the free versus the premium connection request. Okay, another topic, open profile in-mails. I found there's a little used feature that people don't know a lot about on the open profile. The net of it is an in-mail, excuse me, an in-mail allows you to send a message to someone on LinkedIn that you're not connected to. So if you want to reach out to someone you're not connected to, you can use an in-mail, but you have to be a premium user. Again, another reason to have premium profile. That will let you connect to someone that you don't have a connection request. It's a little confusing because you can use in-mails and not be connected, and that's the point. You do get a certain number of in-mails per month. Currently in the US, it's 15. This confused me a lot. It's not really per month. It's per your billing cycle. Because if you go to the first of the month and it's different than what you think, look at what your billing cycle date is, not the first of the month. The nice thing is if you don't use them all up in a month, they will carry over. However, users can turn off accepting in-mails, and I'll talk a little more about this. Here is the neat thing. There's an option within LinkedIn called the open profile. Not sure it's a good name, but that's what they call it. It's another setting in your profile. And if your open profile is set to open, then if the person receiving the in-mail, their open profile is set to open, then it doesn't use up one of your in-mail requests. If the other person has set their open profile to close, then it does use up one of your in-mails. And I have some examples of that. This is just a slide talking about, is there a limit to, well, anyway, this is mostly talking about the, I'm sorry, confused myself here. Okay. This is talking about for the people you want to send message to that their open profile is open. Is there a limit to the number of in-mails you can send? I did hit that once or twice, but it's pretty large. So don't really worry about that. Another thought leader I suggest you follow, in addition to Mindy, Brenda, is Donna Seduler. She had a nice article on the open profile. So back to the in-mails, LinkedIn claims that in-mails is 4.6 times more effective than in emails. And I have to agree with that up to a point. We get so much spam email, we don't even look at it, generally speaking. Yes, there's a lot of spam on LinkedIn, but I think at least today people pay a little more attention to a message in LinkedIn than a spam email. We could debate that, but LinkedIn puts this out there that in-mail messages, 4.6 times more effective. So here's an example of what I'm talking about. Let's say Brian is a hiring manager. I found out through my methodology. I want to reach out to him, say, hey, I've applied for this role. I see you're the hiring manager. Can we talk? If his open profile is closed and I go to send him a message, you see this message top right that is going to use one of my in-mail credits. Let's say Scott was the hiring manager and his open profile was set to open, and I go send him a message. If you look in the top right, it says it's a free message. So I'm not using one of my in-mails. So look to see if their open profile is set to closed or open. And this is a quick and easy way you can tell if you go to send them a message and you're a premium user and you've got an available in-mail. Hopefully that makes sense. It is a little confusing. It took me a long time to understand that. So I've heard for some other thought leaders there is an option in your profile to turn receiving in-mails off. I've heard some thought leaders say turn it off so you won't get spam email. That's true, but that also means if a recruiter or a hiring manager wants to reach out to you via an in-mail because they're not connected, you're not going to get the message. So I would not turn my in-mail open profile off. Okay, not going to go through these. These are just some examples of what I used in in-mails of actually asking for either the name, email of the hiring manager and the recruiter, and you'll see the way I asked, and you'll see those people did come back. This is just something that you may not be aware of, that the LinkedIn search order is, it searches your headline first and then your about section. So this is why you want to have your headline and your about section up to date and correct. Okay, moving on, open to work. Hopefully everybody knows what open to work is. If you're not familiar, it's that little green banner on the top left. It basically says you're looking for a job and you're open to work. Huge amount of debate. Maybe if we have time, Mindy, you can jump in. A lot of people say turn it on. A lot of people say turn it off. The Jeffry Ullman School of Philosophy of looking for a job is be totally transparent. If I was looking for a job, and it's true I'm looking for a job, I didn't see any downside to turning it on because I was looking for a job. So my view of the world is turn it on. You might be saying, well, wait a minute, if I turn it on and I'm currently working for a company, then they're going to know I'm looking for a job. There is an option at the bottom left. Theoretically, you can set your profile to only allow someone that has LinkedIn Recruiter to see the open to work. I think it works mostly. It may not work 100% of the time, but if it's ever an issue, you could say, oops, I turned it on by accident. I'm not really looking for a job. Personally, I wouldn't worry about it. And quite frankly, if most companies think their employees aren't looking for another job, they're being naive. By the way, on that point, I get asked this a lot. Every single job I've ever had in my career, even if I was working and I liked it, I always spent a few minutes every day looking for my next job. Why was that? Because the days I got laid off, I wasn't totally cold in terms of maybe ideas or roles that I had in mind. So if you think the day is going to come where you're not going to get laid off, unfortunately, I think you're being naive. So my view is, even if you're happily employed, spend a few minutes every day on LinkedIn, set up some job alerts just to get an idea of what's going on. So a lot of different thoughts on open to work. I'll let you take a look at this. Most of them, I would say, felt it was a good thing, but there are some downsides, but a lot of debate on open to work. If you wanted to create something different to open to work, Donna has a free tool that you can create a different banner. And I'm done. So
Woo!
I'll open it up to questions. I tell you what, Mindy, maybe is a good point. What's your view on open to work?
Yeah, do me a favor, Jeffrey, just stop your share so we can see
Sure.
everyone a little bit better. And I
Sure.
definitely want to address that open to work. A couple of things about the green banner. Recruiters are able to search by the green banner. Okay, if they have a LinkedIn Recruiter, they can actually search for that. So it's definitely in your benefit to have that green banner on your profile if you're actually looking for a job. Number one. Number two, I recently ran a poll about this dilemma that people ask me about literally every single week. I believe use every tool in your tool belt to get noticed. And if you are looking for a work, why would you keep that a secret, especially if you're not working? I understand people who are under the radar. Plenty of my clients are working and looking at the same time, like Jeffrey just mentioned. Right. For those, use the recruiter option where just the recruiters can see it. The biggest objection I have heard recently is that when they turn on the green banner, the scammers also can sort by green banner, and so they will come. But we need to be vigilant about scammers anyway, right? And so if you're not familiar with how to spot a fake job offer, please call me. Let me know. And we will talk about how there's so many things, so many red flags that they're out there. So we must be vigilant anyway. So as long as we're being vigilant about everything, turn on your banner, my opinion, and be vigilant about who approaches you. And be aware that a lot of those may not be actual jobs. My point of view. Okay. We have some questions in the chat, Jeffrey, and we have about 6 minutes, so we're good. I'm going to go backwards because I see, Carrie agrees with me. I love that. I love it when people agree with me. It's perfect. And I think also Linda. Question from Jerry. If you use an InMail and they reply, don't you get the credit back? I believe that you do.
Yes, you do. Good point. I should add that to my charts. Thank you.
Definitely add that. And by the way, Jeffrey, Jerry was saying that he wasn't able to open the link. So Jerry, I don't know if you want to mention it because Jeffrey may need to take a peek at that link.
I'm able to open the link and it appears to take you to the newsletter, which then has a link in it. And eventually I got the slides open, but I can't download them.
Okay, let's talk offline. Let me repost the link while Mindy is talking.
Perfect. Okay, let me see if we missed any other questions. Okay, Tim. I've seen some experts recommend leaving your employment status as employed at your company after your layoff, but while you're getting severance. Is that reasonable? Okay, so my understanding is that LinkedIn, the algorithm, appreciates it when you have something current in your profile. Okay, so it's funny because many people use LinkedIn for job seeking, and LinkedIn seems to penalize you if you're job seeking. So you need to have something that is current in your latest position. So either it is keeping the old one open for as long as it seems normal. I mean, after 6 months, you probably need to do something else. And when that comes, you can start creating your own company profile. And you can do that. I can easily show you how to do that. And put on your consultant hat. You have expertise, you have experience, put on a consulting hat, and let the world know that you're open for business. Whether or not you get a gig or not, that's to be seen. But at least you'll have something current in your profile. That's my advice for that. What are the questions we have? We have about 4 minutes left. I don't think I see any others. If I missed, I see some messages I missed. Hold on 1 second.
So Mindy, I reposted the link.
Okay.
It may be confusing because the main title looks like the newsletter, but if you scroll down from the link I posted in the chat, you'll see the link to the 90-minute version and the 60-minute version. If it doesn't work, reach out to me on LinkedIn and we'll figure it out.
Perfect. Okay, Elaine, I see a question from Elaine. I'm not sure that I understand it. Elaine, you may want to open your phone so we can hear it. Is there any point to saying that a job on LinkedIn is one of your favorites?
When you apply, there's a favorites option, and it says you get 1 of 3 per month, and I don't know if it's valuable.
Yeah.
We have recruiters on the call. So I have, Rick is on the call and Lance is on the call. I saw Mike is on the call. Do recruiters ever use that? Yes.
Yeah, sorry to jump in. I was just going to say, like, some of the stuff's super subjective. This is the problem. Clients and recruiters are not all the same. So some of them will say, like, turn this banner on or turn it off. And some of them will say that's important. Other ones are like, I don't care. Right. So we're dealing with humans. So there's the sad part is there's no equation that works in every situation. So, I think LinkedIn only allows you 3 favorite jobs. So if it is a favorite job, click it. It's a favorite job because, if someone looks at that, great. But again, some recruiters have got 40 or 50 open roles they're recruiting on. They have very little time for all these details, and they have very little care for all the nuance. It's like they've got 8 senior managers down the hall barking and saying like that position hasn't been filled. It's 4 weeks late. What's going on? That was my experience internally. It's like my analogy, I'm a diner on a Friday afternoon and it's lunch hour and the door is full and I'm just going, cheeseburger. I thought you said hamburger. Well, and then someone else says, no, hamburger, not cheeseburger. Well, I'm scraping the cheese off and sliding the burger down like, eat it. You know what I mean? It's the problem. We all think it's like it's not chaos behind closed doors. It's a bit of a circus at some places, not all places. Some of them are much more buttoned down and have more time and resources, but a lot of them, this is a department that's understaffed and under-resourced often. So they are a short order cook on a busy Friday afternoon in the diner, and a school bus of kids just rolled up, and you're like, I don't have enough hamburger for all those. Anyways,
Yeah.
there you go.
So, and to your point, Lance, I don't know that the recruiter actually cares that it's your favorite or not. They're looking for the best qualified candidate for their client. They're getting paid by their client. They're not there. It's like the old objective statement that used to be on the resumes. Hire me because this is what I really want to be doing. It's not about you. It's about them and how you're filling their needs. Just, keep that in mind.
Yeah, and they might have a whole bunch of different metrics that they're applying to your position as well that you're not even aware of. So you have to take your best shot. That's the way I see it.
Exactly. Good point. What else am I missing? Am I missing any other questions here? I don't think so. Okay. All right. So with no other questions, I would love to share some. What am I seeing here? Mike, are you sharing something on purpose? Or is that an error?
Not me.
Who's that? Somebody did that.
That's an error. Sorry about that.
Thanks, Mike. Somehow I saw your name pop up.
You want to see my screen? Go ahead. Yeah.
You just wanted to be known.
I want to share. I want to
see
share.
you and I hear you, Mike.
I had something to say, so I didn't say it. I showed it. You know what? And now that you opened up the Pandora's box, I'm going to say one thing.
Of course.
Anybody on this call that wants to get the job that they feel that they're qualified for and they've been rejected, or the AI didn't like their keyword search, which is a lot of that nonsense going on, pick up the phone and call and find out who that person is. Call anybody you know and get acquainted to somebody who knows the hiring manager. In many cases, they don't even know you exist and they never saw your resume, and somebody or something negated you because something didn't show up properly in the keyword search. That's what Lance was referring to. Drinking from the fire hose or being overwhelmed and this burger, that burger, whatever. They just don't have the ability to go through all the applications. And the lucky ones that get through, unfortunately, are the ones that are keyword matched perfectly, or however they do that these days. I am not an expert with any of that. I don't even like it. I don't do it. But I will tell you, if you don't pick up the phone or actually get to that person, you're unfortunately wondering why, and you never will know. And if at least you make the phone call and you find out.
Love it. That's a great point, Mike. We got to stay in contact with human beings, right? If the humans are actually doing the hiring still, maybe in a couple of years, maybe someone else will be doing it. Some AI
No,
version.
humans are still making the final decision.
Humans are making a decision. Yeah. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Glad you're here. Debbie, we have time for one more question, thought. What's your thought?
Thank you. Just a quick suggestion to use the mobile app voice message option. Go look up the recruiter, and you can hit the little tiny microphone that they love to disguise. When you get ready to write a message the way you normally would type it out, this is on mobile. Look on the right for the little microphone. You have 1 minute to leave a voice message. And I highly recommend that to all our clients in transition because you can do it whether you're on premium or not. This is an option that's available on the mobile app. And in 1 minute, practice before you do it, because a minute goes by fast. But you're letting them hear your voice. You're reaching out in a way that not everybody is aware of. And you're showing, a little bit more enthusiasm for getting the job, or getting in front of them at least.
I love it. What a great differentiator, right, Debbie?
And that's only available on the mobile app, not on the regular LinkedIn.
Yes, and your voice is going to sound better if you use a phone as opposed to your iPad. I've learned that from hard way.
Yeah. All righty. All right. Let's send some love to Jeffrey. Jeffrey, thank you so much. Everyone, if you can, send some love to Jeffrey. If you enjoyed this, put value in the chat. I'm sending him some love with a heart, but put in the chat, say value if you found this valuable. And if you are having trouble downloading those links, just DM Jeffrey, and you can use your mobile app and call him, and he'll be happy to respond to all of you. Again, so great seeing you. I hope you have a wonderful July and August. Maybe you're all going to be hired by September, but if you're not, join me on September 15th when Kenneth Lang is going to come and give us some of his genius wisdom about scammers. Thank you all for being here. I'm here for you. We're all thankful that you joined us and love having you part of the community. Remember, number 800 that joins the Accelerator Career Group is getting a special gift from me. I'm going to go into my group later to see if anyone hit 100. I only need 7 more. So you may be the lucky 800 if you're not already there. Take care, everyone. Great seeing you all.
Peace out.
Thank you.
I'm off in August.